The cameras were barely rolling when whispers started spreading like wildfire. A sealed envelope, a folded paper tucked away, and the word DNA scrawled across it had everyone on edge. You could almost feel the tension in the air, like a storm waiting to strike. Viewers who thought they had seen it all from Jasmine and Kirk were left clutching their seats when the shocking reveal made its way into the spotlight. Was the baby Kirk's? Or had this entire saga been built on a lie? Fans are stunned, insiders are whispering, and emotions are spiraling out of control. Imagine the scene. Jasmine walks in with her head held high, confidence painted across her face, as if she knows something no one else does. Kirk sits stone-faced, hands folded, eyes darting from the envelope to Rashida, who is visibly trembling. Rashida's lips tighten, and you can almost hear her thoughts. Please, not another betrayal. The tension is unbearable. Every second drags like an hour. And then silence falls. The words DNA results echo like thunder across the room. This isn't just drama. This is the kind of reveal that could shatter families, rewrite loyalties, and flip the entire love and hip-hop universe upside down. Fans are already flooding social media with posts like, "If that baby ain't Kirk's, Jasmine been playing us all along, and Rashida deserves the truth, no matter how painful it is." In living rooms and group chats everywhere, people are gasping, rewinding, and arguing over what they just saw. Could this finally be the breaking point that tears Kirk and Rashida apart for good? Could Jasmine's secret destroy not just reputations, but entire lives? Stay tuned, because what's inside that envelope is more explosive than anyone could have predicted. And the fallout is about to change everything. The room was suffocating with silence, the kind that made every little sound feel louder than it should. The hum of the cameras, the shuffle of feet from crew members trying not to draw attention, and the shallow breathing of those present all blended into a kind of unbearable tension. Jasmine sat upright, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of pride and something else, something sharper, more dangerous. She knew she held the kind of power that could rip through Kirk and Rashida's world like a blade. Kirk shifted uncomfortably, his jaw clenched tight as though bracing for an attack he could already see coming. Rashida's fingers gripped the edge of her seat, knuckles white, her body stiff with dread, silently screaming for the nightmare not to repeat itself. This wasn't the first time she had been forced into the role of a woman waiting for her marriage to crumble in public. But this time, there was more at stake. This wasn't whispers or rumors. This was a DNA test. Hard evidence. A truth that couldn't be spun away with excuses. The envelope sat between them, a symbol of betrayal and a promise of destruction. Jasmine leaned forward, her voice smooth and deliberate. "I told y'all from the beginning. I don't lie. But since nobody wanted to believe me, since everybody wanted to make me look like the villain, here's your proof. Let's read it out loud, so everybody can stop pretending." The words cut like knives, each syllable laced with venom, and the room reacted with gasps and muffled chatter. Even the crew, who had sworn themselves to professionalism, couldn't help but exchange shocked glances. This was the kind of drama that went beyond entertainment. It was raw, ugly, and real. Kirk's voice finally broke the silence, low and gravelly. "You think this makes you look better? You think this makes you look like the victim? No matter what that paper says, Jasmine, you've been tearing families apart. You've been dragging me through the mud. You've been dragging Rashida through the mud. You've been playing games." His hands slammed on the table, the sound ricocheting through the set like a gunshot. Rashida flinched, her eyes darting toward him, not out of fear of his anger, but from the painful realization that once again, she was at the mercy of choices she never made. Jasmine smirked, unfazed. "See, that's what guilty men do. They lash out. But the truth don't need defending." The fans watching through leaked livestream clips erupted online. Twitter hashtags were instantly trending. Hashtag KirkDNA, hashtag Jasmine exposed, hashtag RASHEEDA deserves better. Memes flooded the timelines. Screenshots of Kirk's tense face, paired with captions like, "When the DNA test about to end your storyline." Others rallied behind Jasmine, calling her brave for forcing the truth into the open. Some even pitied her, suggesting she was just another woman, trapped in Kirk's messy web. The division was sharp, and the audience was eating it up. Rashida's voice finally cracked through the noise, trembling but firm. "Read it." Everyone turned toward her, shocked. For so long, she had carried herself as the calm in the storm, the one who either forgave or ignored. But this time, her tone was ice, sharp enough to silence both Kirk and Jasmine in an instant. No more talk, no more accusations, no more back and forth. "Read it." Her voice broke slightly on the last word, but she didn't back down. She wanted the pain. She needed the pain. Because only then could she decide whether to fight for what was left of her marriage or finally walk away. The producer hesitated, holding the envelope like it was a live grenade, his fingers trembling as he peeled it open. The rustle of paper was deafening, each fold echoing through the room. Everyone leaned in, the entire world it seemed, holding their breath. According to the DNA analysis, the producer began, his voice heavy with the weight of the moment, the probability of paternity. He paused, his eyes flickering up at Kirk, then to Jasmine, then to Rashida. Is 0%. Gasps filled the air, followed by shouts and cries. Some screamed in shock, others laughed in disbelief, and the chaos erupted instantly. Jasmine's smirk disappeared in an instant, her face crumbling as though the ground beneath her had given way. Kirk's eyes widened, then narrowed, a strange mix of relief and fury battling for dominance. Rashida pressed her hand to her mouth, tears flooding her eyes. Not from sadness this time, but from the overwhelming release of tension she had carried for years. You lied, Kirk shouted, pointing at Jasmine, his voice cracking under the weight of anger. You lied to me, to Rashida, to everybody. You had me looking like a fool out here. You played me. Jasmine jumped up from her seat, her voice high-pitched and frantic. No, that's not possible. That test is wrong. Y'all set me up. Kirk, you know better than anybody what we had. Don't you dare stand there and act like you didn't know that baby could have been yours. Her eyes darted desperately between them, searching for sympathy but finding none. Rashida stood, her voice cutting through Jasmine's denial like a blade. Don't you dare bring that baby into this circus you created. You ruined your own credibility, Jasmine. You ruined everything. Her tone was venomous, but her tears betrayed the exhaustion behind her strength. The set descended into mayhem. Security stepped forward. Producers yelled over each other, trying to regain control. And the cameras captured every second of the unraveling. Fans watching from home couldn't believe what they were seeing. Instagram lives lit up with viewers screaming into their phones. Rashida won. Jasmine lied all along. While others argued fiercely, don't trust that test. Kirk paid somebody off. The narrative split in two, and both sides were equally explosive. Jasmine fell back into her seat, her confidence shattered, her face streaked with tears. You don't understand, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I was alone. I was scared. I thought if I had him tied to me, maybe he wouldn't walk away. Maybe I wouldn't be left behind again. Her vulnerability cracked through the armor she had so carefully built, and for the first time, she didn't look like the villain. She looked like a woman broken by her own choices. The room went quiet again, but this time it was a heavy, pitying silence. Kirk shook his head, disgust written all over his face. You played with my life. You played with my marriage. And for what? For attention? For money? For clout? He turned away from her, his shoulders sagging under the weight of betrayal. Rashida stood by his side. Though her body language spoke volumes, this wasn't forgiveness. This was survival. She wasn't standing with Kirk for him. She was standing because she needed to prove she couldn't be broken. The producers called for a break, but the cameras never stopped rolling. The drama had spilled past the point of no return, and the fallout was only beginning. Crew members whispered among themselves. Castmates rushed in with wide eyes, and social media was already ablaze with theories. Some insisted Jasmine was still hiding something. Others swore Rashida would finally file for divorce. And a few dared to suggest that Kirk's hands weren't as clean as he pretended. Every angle was scrutinized, every tear dissected, and the world was hooked. The DNA test might have revealed one truth, but it unleashed a storm of new questions. If the baby wasn't Kirk's, then whose child was it? Why had Jasmine kept the lie alive for so long? And more importantly, what would Rashida do now that the weight of years of suspicion had been lifted? The answers weren't clear, but one thing was undeniable. This reveal had changed everything, and the drama was only just beginning. The chaos on set didn't die down after the producer's trembling voice read those words. Probability of paternity is 0%. Instead, it seemed like a match had been thrown into gasoline. Crew members were shouting. Some cast members rushed from the wings to see what had just been revealed, and social media was already exploding with millions of comments dissecting every glance, every tear, every word. Kirk stood frozen in place, his chest heaving, his hands trembling as if years of bottled-up rage were fighting to break free. Rashida's tears rolled silently down her face. But behind those tears there was a strange glimmer of vindication. Like for the first time in a long while she wasn't the one being humiliated. Jasmine, though, was collapsing right there before their eyes. Her once smug smirk, replaced with a frantic, almost childlike desperation. She grabbed at the paper in the producer's hand, trying to rip it away, screaming, "This ain't real. This ain't right. Kirk, tell them. You know this don't make sense." The paper tore in her hand, but the damage had already been done. Everyone had seen the words. The crew, the cast, the millions of fans who would watch this unfold. Nobody would ever forget it. Kirk finally snapped, his voice booming so loud it echoed off the studio walls. You made me raise a child that wasn't mine. You dragged me. You dragged my wife. You had me out here looking like the worst man alive. And all this time, it was a damn lie. His voice cracked on the last word, fury colliding with pain, and his body shook as if he might crumble under the weight of it all. Rashida's hand reached out instinctively, not to comfort, but to steady him. As if even she understood the kind of devastation that was unraveling in front of them. Jasmine staggered back, her mascara smearing down her cheeks, her voice trembling as she pleaded, You don't understand, Kirk. I didn't mean to. I thought maybe if I said it was yours, you'd stay, you'd care, you wouldn't leave me alone. I was scared. I was desperate. Her words tumbled out frantically, her confession pouring into the air, but no one seemed moved. Instead, whispers filled the set. Other cast members exchanged horrified looks, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others murmuring, She really did that. She really lied all this time. Rashida finally spoke, her voice sharp, clear, and deadly calm. You stole years from me, Jasmine, years of my marriage, years of my peace. Do you know how many nights I cried thinking my husband betrayed me again? Thinking I wasn't enough? You did that? You made me doubt myself. You made me live in hell. Her words struck Jasmine harder than Kirk's yelling ever could. She slumped into her seat, sobbing uncontrollably now, unable to defend herself against the truth that everyone else could see. Her lie had grown too big, and it had finally swallowed her whole. Outside the set, the world was on fire. Fans were posting videos in tears, shouting into their cameras, I can't believe Jasmine lied like this. Rashida deserves everything and more, after what she's been through. Others weren't convinced, sparking a frenzy of conspiracy theories. What if Kirk paid off the lab to fake those results? He's been shady before. Don't act like he wouldn't. Twitter threads spiraled into thousands of comments. Instagram lives had castmates going live giving their opinions. And bloggers across Atlanta were already writing headlines like the DNA bombshell that divided a family. And Jasmine's lie shakes the hip-hop universe. Back inside, the producers tried to calm things, but Kirk was on a roll, pacing the floor, his finger pointing directly at Jasmine. You don't get to play victim now. You ruined my marriage. You ruined my name. You dragged me on national TV for years. And you want to sit here crying like somebody forced you? You wanted this. You wanted the fame, the drama, the attention. Well, congratulations, Jasmine. You got it, but you lost everything else. The silence that followed was so thick it felt suffocating. Even Jasmine's sobs had grown quiet, replaced by a hollow emptiness that seemed to echo louder than any words. Rashida, still standing tall, wiped her tears and turned to Kirk. You think this clears you? You think this makes you some hero? No. You still chose her. You still betrayed me. DNA test or not, you still broke me. Don't you dare act like you're the victim in this, too. Her voice cracked, but her eyes burned with a strength that made Kirk look away. Suddenly, the DNA test wasn't just Jasmine's downfall. It was Kirk's judgment day, too. Fans watching at home typed furiously, Rashida, always the strongest one. And she finally said what we've all been screaming at our TVs for years. The set turned into a battlefield of emotions, with every word piercing deeper wounds. Jasmine's sobbing turned into a bitter laugh, broken and jagged. Y'all act like Kirk's some saint. He ain't no saint, Rashida. He ain't loyal. He used me, too. He lied to me, too. And you think this little piece of paper makes him clean? Nah, it just proves he played both of us. Her words sent chills across the room, a new layer of chaos sparking instantly. The audience watching from home didn't know what to believe anymore. Was Jasmine lying again? Or was she exposing another ugly truth? The producer signaled for another break, but it was too late. The drama was unstoppable, spreading like wildfire beyond the set walls. Bloggers refreshed their pages for updates. Fans canceled plans to stay glued to their screens, and Atlanta's streets buzzed with gossip like never before. The DNA bombshell wasn't an ending. It was the start of something far bigger, darker, and more dangerous. Questions lingered in every corner. Who was the real father of Jasmine's child? Would Rashida finally leave Kirk for good? And most of all, how would this revelation reshape everything they thought they knew about this twisted love triangle? And while the world speculated, inside that room, the tension only grew heavier, the stares more piercing, and the emotions more explosive, as if the next words spoken could ignite an even bigger fire that no one was prepared to put out. Jasmine's bitter laugh echoed long after her voice had cracked. filling the room with a chilling sound that made even the crew stop in their tracks. The tears streaking down her face glistened under the hot studio lights, but her smile was twisted, broken, almost manic. "Y'all wanna sit here and make me the only villain," she spat, her words sharp and venomous. "But Kirk ain't no innocent man. He came to me, he wanted me, and don't forget, Rashida, half the time he was with you, he was sneaking around with me." Her voice shook with equal parts fury and pain, and it was clear she had nothing left to lose. Rashida's eyes widened, her chest rising and falling with deep breaths she was fighting to control. The audience watching from the sidelines gasped in unison, their voices colliding in a wave of shock. Kirk's face tightened, his fists clenching at his sides, his jawline pulsing with restrained rage. "Don't you dare," he warned, his tone a low growl. "Don't you dare twist this to make yourself look better. I may have made mistakes, but this lie, you carried this for years. You let me think, you let the world think, that child was mine. You don't get to drag me down with you now." But Jasmine wasn't finished. She shot to her feet, pointing a trembling finger at him. "You knew," she screamed, her voice raw. "Deep down, you knew it was a possibility, it wasn't yours, but you didn't care. You wanted me quiet, you wanted me loyal, so you played along until it blew up in your face." She turned her gaze toward Rashida, her tone shifting, almost pleading. "And you think you're the only one he lied to. You think he didn't whisper the same sweet promises to me that he gave you. Wake up, Rashida. Kirk ain't the victim, and he damn sure ain't the hero." The entire set fell into chaos once more. Cast members who had been silent until now couldn't hold back. Carly Red stood up, her voice cutting across the noise. "Girl, what is you even saying? You lied. You dragged everybody into this mess. Don't stand there trying to rewrite the story." Her words drew nods from a few others, while some shook their heads, muttering that Kirk wasn't exactly innocent either. Social media, of course, was eating it alive. Posts exploded instantly, Jasmine dragging Kirk and Rashida like she ain't just exposed herself. #LaHadel, and Rashida needs to walk away right now. She deserves peace. Fan camps were forming in real time, each side growing louder, meaner, more unforgiving. Rashida finally stepped forward, her voice breaking through the frenzy. "Enough," she said, her tone low but firm. The room went quiet again, as if everyone instinctively knew this was the moment she was about to shatter or rise stronger. Her eyes locked on Jasmine, cold and unflinching. "You wanted him. You wanted this life so bad. Look at it. Look at the pain, the lies, the destruction. This is what you fought for. This is what you thought would make you happy. You didn't win, Jasmine. You lost. You lost your credibility. You lost respect, and now you've lost the last shred of sympathy anyone had for you." Jasmine's lips quivered, her body trembling under the weight of Rashida's words. For once, she didn't have a comeback. The silence that followed felt final, like the closing of a chapter, but the story was far from over. Kirk turned his gaze on Rashida, his voice softer now, almost pleading. "Baby, you gotta believe me. I didn't know it would come to this. I made mistakes. I know I did, but this ain't on me." His words hung in the air, heavy with desperation, but Rashida's face was unreadable. She didn't move toward him, didn't offer him the comfort he was seeking. Instead, she simply stared, her eyes full of years of betrayal that no DNA test could erase. Fans watching erupted online again. Did Kirk really just try to shift the blame after everything? One comment read. Another screamed, "Rashida, don't you dare take him back this time, sis." The division was brutal, but the fascination was undeniable. Millions were glued to their screens, unable to turn away from the slow-motion implosion of one of reality TV's most infamous triangles. As the cameras kept rolling, the producer's voice cut in, trembling, "We need to stop, we need a break." But no one listened. Kirk and Jasmine were locked in a battle of words, Rashida caught in the middle but no longer silent. And the rest of the cast stood frozen, half horrified, half enthralled. Jasmine wiped her face with the back of her hand, her voice breaking. "I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to matter to somebody." The vulnerability in her tone was real, raw, and for a brief moment, even some of her harshest critics softened. But Kirk didn't flinch. He leaned in, his voice low and cutting. "You could have had that. You could have had respect, but you chose lies. And now all you got is the mess you made." The lights above buzzed softly, the cameras zoomed closer, and the drama only deepened. Jasmine's confession, Kirk's fury, and Rashida's silence created a triangle of tension, so thick it was almost unbearable to watch. But no one was turning away. Not the cast, not the crew, and definitely not the millions waiting online for the next leak. The next headline. The next explosive twist. The air snapped like a wire pulled too tight when Jasmine's eyes locked on that corner of the room. The audio text meters flickered red. The cameras pushed in until the lenses practically kissed her face. And every heartbeat in the building seemed to sync with the red tally lights. The man she was looking at stiffened, just enough for everyone to notice. A wave moved through the cast like electricity. Even security took a half step forward, not sure if they needed to stop what was coming or make way for it. Don't, Kirk warned, his voice a dark rumble that rolled across the floor. If you lying again, you'll never come back from this. Jasmine swallowed hard, the mic catching the tiny scrape of her breath. Then she spoke the name loud, clear, too sharp to be a mistake, and the control room hit the panic button. The feed cut to a wide safety shot. The sound engineer slapped a bleep that shook the speakers. On the floor, the reaction was instant. Carly's hand flew to her mouth, Yandy spun to the monitors, and a camera operator swore under his breath as focus hunting ruined the clean punch-in he'd been waiting for. The man in the corner didn't move, but the blood drained from his face. His jaw clenched. If guilt had a sound, it was the quiet grind of his molars. The legal team appeared at the edge of set like ghosts, earpieces glowing, tablets up, whispering to producers who were already whispering to other producers. It was a whisper relay that somehow still sounded like thunder. Cut her mic. Don't touch her mic. Go to break. Do not go to break. Chaos layered on chaos until the only thing that felt real was the way Jasmine kept staring, as if she could hold the truth steady with her eyes alone. Rashida's voice sliced through the confusion, steady and low. Say it again, without the bleep. Say it where I can hear it. The control room hesitated. The floor didn't. Jasmine squared her shoulders, wiped her face with the heel of her hand like a boxer clearing sweat, and said the name again, softer, deadlier, unbleeped for anyone standing within 10 feet. It didn't matter that America couldn't hear it yet. It mattered that the room could. Gasps burst against the rafters. Someone dropped a headset. Someone else whispered, "No way," 3 times, like a prayer that wouldn't stick. The man finally moved. He stepped forward, palms open, voice flat. That's a lie. He tried to look at the crowd, at anyone but Jasmine, but his eyes kept snapping back to her like a magnet. That's slander. You about to get sued. Jasmine didn't blink. File it. Kirk stalked toward him, security's hands hovering near elbows that could turn into fists at any second. You've been in my house? You shook my hand. You looked at my wife. And you. He stopped, swallowed a word that tasted like blood, and jabbed a finger toward Jasmine instead. You better have proof. Not stories. Not tears. Proof. Jasmine reached into her bag. Not for a script. Not for the shredded DNA letter. For a second phone, thin and shiny and dangerous. The crew leaned as one organism. You wanted proof. I got messages, dates, locations. I got a picture of a bracelet he wears every day sitting on my dresser at 2 a.m. I got a voice note where he says, "We ain't telling Kirk nothing." I got a rideshare receipt. I got a hotel key I kept because I knew this day would come. You want me to airdrop it? I'll airdrop it to every phone on this set. The man laughed. The humorless kind, a brittle sound that broke as it left his mouth. Fake. That's all fake. Anybody can mock up a screen and call it evidence. Cool, Jasmine said, stepping closer, that phone like a lit match between them. Then unlock your phone. Show your camera roll. Show your messages. Show your cloud backups. You brave, right? You righteous. Unlock it. His face shuddered. That was all the confirmation the room needed. The cast's chatter swelled into a storm. Some were saying no, no way, never that man. Others were whispering that it made a sick kind of sense now that they were thinking about certain looks, certain exits, certain nights when 2 people went missing and came back with stories that didn't match. Twitter, even without the name, mushroomed with theories. Timelines fed on screenshots from old episodes, freeze-framing smirks and side glances, stitching together a narrative like detectives with mood boards. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family was left divided. Rashida didn't join the chorus. She moved like she was walking through water, slow and relentless, until she stood between Jasmine and the man, shoulders squared. If you lying, she told Jasmine, I will make sure this ends your TV career and your real life, too. She pivoted to him. And if you lying, if you've been lying, if you touched this story anywhere, you are finished to me, to my family, to this show. I will not be humiliated again. The man's lips parted for a comeback he didn't have. He turned as if the exit would open itself if he just faced it hard enough. Security shifted, unsure if he was a threat or a flight risk. The producer finally spoke over the floor mic, voice brittle with duty. We need 15. Everyone clear. We are going to verify materials. "Don't you dare verify without me," Jasmine said, "because I know how y'all do. I know how files get lost and messages get misinterpreted. I'm staying right there when you plug that phone in." She looked at Rashida, not with gloating, not with triumph, but with something so tired it made the bones hurt to see it. "You wanted truth. This is the ugly kind." The 15 minutes stretched like wire. In a small side room that smelled like coffee and panic, a digital forensics consultant who had been hired for general social media best practices was suddenly the most important person in Atlanta. Phones on the table, a stack of waivers, a lens-wiping cloth that nobody needed but everybody touched. Jasmine tapped in her passcode without flinching. The man hesitated, glanced at his publicist, and then typed his. The consultant plugged in cables that hummed with consequence. On set, Kirk paced trenches into the floor. Fans filled the waiting with war. One camp crowned Jasmine a truth-teller and demanded apologies delivered with cash. Another camp declared her a manipulator manufacturing evidence with off-the-shelf apps. Stan accounts posted side-by-sides of the man's bracelet from 5 different events, matching micro-scratches like it was a crime lab. A gossip site pushed a breaking banner with 3 question marks. The city felt smaller than a studio lot and bigger than the internet at the same time. When the consultant returned, he didn't bring a verdict. He brought printouts, timestamps, metadata, a soft voice that treaded like it could trigger an earthquake. Some of the artifacts are consistent. The rideshare data correlates with cell tower pings within 5 meters of the hotel indicated. The voice memo has no visible splice artifacts. The photo contains a live photo depth map consistent with an iPhone captured at 2:11 a.m. 3 months ago. The bracelet in the photo shows a nick pattern consistent with previously public imagery. He paused. There are also anomalies. 2 screenshots in the thread are exports, not native captures. I cannot authenticate those without account-level logs. The man seized on that like driftwood. See. Anomalies. She faked it. Weak cha. Driftwood. See. Anomalies. She faked it. Weak cha. Done. Jasmine didn't even look at him. Run account-level logs then. Subpoena it. I'll sign whatever. I ain't scared of the part that's true. Rashida stared at the printouts like they were a map out of a burning maze. "So what's true?" she asked, voice flat. "Is that y'all met at the Nerd Hotel at 2:11 a.m.? 3 months ago? After a rap party where we were all downstairs. And then you came to work the next morning talking about family values." No one answered, because the silence already had. Kirk's laugh came out as a cough, bitter and old. "This show is poison," he said to no one, to everyone. "We all drink it and act surprised when we choke." The producer tried to steer the ship back to story. "We can roll again," he said, thin with hope. "We can address with care. We can center healing." "Turn the cameras back on," Rashida said, "but don't you dare say healing to me. I am not your redemption arc." She walked to her mark and didn't look at either of them. "Ask your questions." The cameras blinked alive. The red lights felt like judges. Rashida, the producer, began, carefully. "What do you want right now?" "Truth," she said, not missing a beat. "And quiet. The kind that doesn't lie to me at night. The kind that lets me sleep." She exhaled once, sharp. "And I want the DNA test run again by a lab nobody here has ever heard of, with cameras off, with my lawyer present. Because I know how people can buy grace." "Done," the producer said, already typing the text to make it true. Jasmine spoke without being asked. "Run it 10 times if you want. I won't survive another lie, so I'm not telling one." The man finally found steel in his spine. "I'm lawyered," he said, eyes shiny but voice iron. "Any use of my name with this will be met in court. I have nothing to hide, which is why I will be saying nothing further." It was the kind of sentence publicists write. It landed like a door slamming in a church. The family was left divided. Some casts slid closer to Jasmine, drawn by the gravity of a woman who had nothing left to lose and had stopped pretending otherwise. Others aligned themselves with Kirk and Rashida, not just out of loyalty but out of survival, because lines were being drawn, and nobody wanted to be caught in no man's land when the ratings in real life started tallying winners and losers. Emotions ran high. Hands shook. Water bottles emptied and filled and emptied again. Night fell against the studio windows, turning their reflections into a mirror of the stage. Bright white quarters of light. A semicircle of chairs that felt like a firing squad. Faces that wouldn't look the same in the morning. The second DNA test was scheduled for dawn. Phones buzzed with appointment confirmations, NDA addendums, routes that avoided paparazzi. But the real movement happened in whispers. In the green room, a young PA cried softly, saying her parents used to fight like this and she thought TV was supposed to make the pain glamorous. In the hallway, A veteran camera op told a rookie that the best shots come when you stop chasing faces and start chasing hands. Hands tell the truth. In the parking lot, two cast members argued about loyalty until one said, "Loyalty to what?" And neither of them had an answer good enough to end it. The city held its breath like it was standing in the wings of a stage waiting for its line. Just before midnight, Jasmine sat alone with her bag in her lap and her second phone on the table. She replayed the voice memo, not because she needed to hear it, but because it made the world feel honest for exactly 19 seconds. While a man promised something he never planned to pay for, when the door opened, she didn't look up. She already knew whose perfume was in the air. Rashida sat across from her. No cameras, no audience. Just two women who had been dragged through the same storm in different boats. "I don't know what to do with you," Rashida said, and it sounded like truth. "If you lied, I can hate you. If you told the truth, I can't forgive you. I don't know where that leaves me." "Tired," Jasmine said, a smile that wasn't one tugging at her mouth. "It leaves you tired." They sat in that for a long beat, the kind of silence that feels like a quilt someone finally draped over shivering shoulders. Then Rashida stood. "Dawn," she said, "Lab. Be there early. No makeup, no entourage, just you and the truth you keep asking for." "I'll be there," Jasmine said. "I don't know how to be anything else right now." When Rashida left, Kirk was waiting in the hall with a question in his eyes he couldn't make into words. She brushed past it. For once, she wasn't the answer to a man's confusion. She was her own question. By morning, the city had bloomed into headlines. Fans were shocked. Talk radio hosts sharpened their monologues. A morning show promised exclusive angles with graphics that glittered while anchors wore sympathetic faces they only bring out for funerals and ratings wars. Outside the discreet clinic the lawyers chose, 3 cars idled like patient wolves. Inside, the fluorescent lights made everything look overexposed and unforgiving. The technician was all neutral voice and sterile gloves. Swabs, vials, labels that got checked and rechecked until the paranoia in the room finally exhaled a fraction. Kirk signed, Jasmine signed. The chain of custody form looked like a treaty. The man from the corner didn't show. His lawyer served papers instead, requesting injunctive relief against defamatory implication. The papers crinkled like foil in the tech's steady hands. Waiting turned minutes into wet cement around ankles. Nobody moved far. Nobody spoke much. Phones were face down to keep from drowning in speculation. When the samples were sealed and handed to a courier who might as well have been carrying a nation's crown, a strange stillness fell. It felt like the world had been holding a scream and finally let it sit in the throat. Back at the studio, the producer gathered everyone into the circle they always pretend is a family. He talked about care and process and next steps and ethics in a voice that meant it, even if it was late. People nodded because nodding was the closest thing to control they had. When he finished, he looked at Rashida. Not for approval, for direction. She lifted her chin. "We wait," she said. "And while we wait, everyone stop performing. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to be mad, be mad. If you need to be quiet, be quiet. But don't you dare make content out of my life for the next 24 hours. And somehow, in a building designed to eat stillness and spit out storylines, quiet actually obeyed. Outside, the internet did not. Threads multiplied. Think pieces appeared like mushrooms after rain. Someone claimed to have seen the man's car at the hotel months ago. Someone else posted a blurry photo of a bracelet in a bathroom mirror. That might have been his or might have been a duped accessory from a kiosk at Lenox. The family was left divided. Some doubled down. Stans mapped battle plans like generals. If truth was a currency, the exchange rate swung by the hour. When the courier returned at sunset with a sealed envelope that looked too small to hold so many hearts, the building inhaled. The producer didn't touch it. He held it up like a teacher with a test everyone was afraid to fail. "We open together. We speak together. And then we get off camera, and remember we are humans before we are TV," he said, half command, half wish. They gathered again under lights that hummed like bees. Jasmine's hands shook, so she held her wrists to stop them. Kirk looked like a cliff eaten smooth by years of waves. Rashida was stillness sharpened into something that could cut diamonds. The man's chair was empty, its absence loud. The envelope tore. Paper whispered. The producer read without drama, because the drama was already in their blood. The probability of paternity. The room leaned in. The internet pressed its face to the glass, and the night waited to learn what kind of story it would become. The paper trembled in the producer's hands, the corners damp from sweat. His eyes darting between the faces, staring back at him like wolves waiting to pounce. The probability of paternity, he read again, his voice nearly breaking, is 99.9%. The room detonated. Screams, gasps, sobs, every sound layered on top of each other, until it became pure chaos. Jasmine clutched her chest and let out a cry that was half relief, half hysteria. Kirk staggered backward, his hands flying to his head as though the walls themselves had collapsed on him. Rashida's knees buckled, and she gripped the back of her chair. Her face twisted in disbelief, the tears streaming freely now. The second test had confirmed the tears streaming freely now. The second test had confirmed baby was his after all. Fans watching at home exploded online. Nah, this is scripted, ain't no way. One comment screamed. Another typed furiously. Rashida better pack his bags tonight. Ain't no forgiveness after this. Others sided with Jasmine. She'd been telling the truth this whole time. Y'all owe her apologies. Twitter burned with hashtags. Hashtag DNA PLO twist. Hashtag Kirk's baby confirmed. Hashtag RASHEEDA done. The narrative shifted in seconds. The tide of public opinion crashing like a tidal wave and reshaping everything in its path. Kirk's voice cut through the madness. Ragged, desperate. This don't make sense. How the first test say 0, and this one say no? Somebody lying? Somebody setting me up? He looked at the producer, at Jasmine, even at Rashida, searching for a lifeline, but none came. Jasmine rose from her chair, her face streaked with tears, her voice triumphant but trembling. I told you all along. You dragged me, you humiliated me, you called me a liar, and now what? Who's the liar now? Kirk. She turned to Rashida, her eyes wild with vindication. You blamed me for everything, but it was him. It was always him. Rashida's voice broke, quiet but lethal. Don't you dare try to make me your ally. You destroyed me, Jasmine. And you, she jabbed a finger at Kirk, her whole body shaking. You destroyed us. Years of pain, years of betrayal, and now you want me to carry this, too? Her words sliced through the air like glass, leaving everyone stunned. Kirk tried to reach for her hand, but she yanked it away, her glare full of fury and heartbreak. Don't touch me. Don't you ever touch me again? The cast couldn't stay silent any longer. Carly Red screamed, oh my god, this is insane. Scrappy shook his head, muttering, man, this some next level mess, even for us. Yandi, eyes wide, whispered, families don't come back from this. Not ever. The studio felt like a pressure cooker about to explode. Producers barked orders, security stepped closer, and the cameras captured every angle, every tear, every broken word. Kirk staggered toward Jasmine, his finger trembling as he pointed at her. You think you won? You think this makes you look like some saint? No. All you did was prove I made the biggest mistake of my life. And now everybody knows the truth. But, I promise you, Jasmine, I will never let you win. You'll never get what you want from me. His voice cracked, equal parts rage and despair. Jasmine shot back, her voice shrill. What I wanted a father for my child. I wanted stability. I wanted love. Things you couldn't even give your own wife. Rashida broke down then, sobbing uncontrollably, collapsing into her seat as the weight of the truth crushed her. The audience watching screamed at their screens, some crying with her, others cursing Kirk's name, others demanding Jasmine leave the show. Emotions ran high. The family was left divided, and the fallout was already spiraling into something bigger than anyone could control. And then, as if the night couldn't get darker, the consultant stepped back into the room, clearing his throat. There's something else, he said quietly, holding another envelope in his hands. The room fell silent again, everyone's eyes snapping toward him. Kirk's face paled, Rashida froze, Jasmine straightened in anticipation. We ran additional comparisons, the consultant continued, and there's another potential paternal match, someone else from within this circle. The words hit like an earthquake, shaking the room to its foundation. Gasps erupted, people shouted over each other, the cast spun into chaos once more. The cameras zoomed in on every shocked face, every trembling lip, every wide, terrified eye. The second twist had arrived, and it was even more explosive than the first. The DNA test hadn't just confirmed Kirk, it had revealed there might be someone else. Another man, another scandal, another betrayal waiting to explode. The consultant's words hung in the air like poison. Another potential paternal match. No one breathed, no one blinked. Even the buzzing lights above seemed to dim under the weight of the revelation. Rashida's hands froze in her lap, her tears suspended midstream, as though her body refused to process more heartbreak. Kirk staggered forward, his eyes wild, his voice hoarse. What do you mean another match? You said 99%. That don't leave room for nobody else. The consultant shuffled nervously, his fingers gripping the edges of the envelope as though it might shield him from the storm he had just unleashed. The results show a primary probability of paternity as Kirk. That is you, but when the extended comparative analysis was run, another individual displayed markers that suggest partial paternal compatibility, statistically rare, but not impossible in complex genetic overlaps. His words were clinical, detached, but the effect was catastrophic. The cast erupted. Carly Red screamed, "Lord, this is messy." Yandi's eyes darted from Kirk to Jasmine to the rest of the room, her hand clapping over her mouth. Scrappy muttered something under his breath, pacing in circles as though the floor might give answers. Social media, though the audience didn't yet know the full details, exploded with speculation. Tweets lit up with "Don't tell me another man on the show is the daddy." #Lahadal, and this DNA saga got more plot twists than a movie. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family was left divided. Jasmine, trembling, rose to her feet. Her mascara was smudged, her face streaked with tears, but her voice cut sharp through the noise. See what I've been saying? Y'all been trying to paint me as the only liar, the only manipulator, but this ain't all on me. This right here proves I ain't crazy. There's more to the story." She jabbed a finger toward Kirk, then toward the circle of men standing at the edge of the set, their faces shifting from confusion to panic. "Y'all want truth. Well, the truth ain't simple. It's ugly, and it's sitting right here in this room." Rashida rose slowly, her legs shaky but her presence commanding. "Who?" Her voice cracked like a whip, silencing the chaos. "If it ain't just Kirk, then who?" She looked around, her eyes narrowing, demanding answers. "Don't play with me. Don't play with my life. Say the name. I want to hear it." The consultant hesitated, sweat beading on his forehead. "Confidentiality protocols," he began, but Rashida cut him off, her voice like steel. "Don't you dare hide behind paperwork. My life is burning down in front of the whole world, and you think I care about protocols. Say it, or I swear, I'll drag it out of you myself." The room held its breath. Kirk stood frozen, his chest heaving, his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. Jasmine's eyes flicked toward one man in particular, sitting near the edge of the stage, his posture suddenly too stiff, his face pale. The silence grew unbearable until Carly Red, unable to hold her tongue, blurted, "Oh my God, it's him, ain't it?" Her finger darted across the room, and all eyes followed. The man shifted uncomfortably, his lips parting, but no sound came out. The air snapped like electricity. Rashida's knees nearly gave out again, her hand gripping Kirk's arm for balance, though she despised him in that moment. Kirk tore his arm away, his voice a roar. "You?" He stormed forward, his rage boiling over, but security intercepted, their bodies a wall between fury and target. The man finally found his voice, his words stumbling out. This is a mistake, a mix-up, ain't no way, ain't no damn way." But the fear in his eyes betrayed him. Jasmine let out a broken laugh, half hysteria, half vindication. "You all thought I was the only one. You all thought I was lying. Well, guess what? The truth is bigger than any of you could imagine. You wanted scandal. You wanted drama? Here it is. Kirk ain't the only one who should be sweating right now." Rashida's sobs turned into something pure, unfiltered rage. "How many times?" she screamed, her voice raw. "How many times do I have to live through this humiliation? How many men in this room been smiling in my face while stabbing me in the back?" Her body trembled as she pointed wildly, her fury consuming everything. "All of you, every last one of you. I can't trust nobody." The set descended into pandemonium. Cast members shouted over one another, producers begged for calm. Security tightened their grip as Kirk lunged again, his voice booming. "You destroyed me. You destroyed my family." Jasmine shouted back, "No, you destroyed yourself." And Rashida's cries echoed louder than them all. Online, fans lost their minds. "Nah, this DNA plot twist got me shaking." #LHHATL and another man. In the cast, "This show needs to be on Netflix immediately." Flooded timelines. YouTube lives sparked instant theories. Instagram stories dissected every frame, circling nervous expressions and stiff body language. The world wasn't just watching, they were participating, unraveling the scandal piece by piece, like detectives solving a case. In the corner, the accused man slumped into his chair, covering his face with his hands. "This ain't happening," he muttered over and over, but the evidence said otherwise. The consultant, his voice barely audible, added, "Further testing would be required to establish certainty, but the markers don't lie." The revelation had ripped open wounds that might never heal. Kirk's fury, Rashida's devastation, Jasmine's fragile vindication. and the silent guilt of another man had turned the room into a battlefield. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family was left divided. And as the cameras rolled on, it was clear this wasn't the end of the story. It was just another cliffhanger in a saga that seemed determined to destroy them all. The second envelope had already blown the roof off the room, but Kirk wasn't hearing anything except the blood pounding in his ears. He lunged forward, his body trembling with rage, and had to be held back by two security guards who dug their heels into the studio floor. "You sat in my house," Kirk roared, his voice so raw it rattled the walls. "You ate at my table. You smiled in my wife's face while you—" His words broke off in a guttural yell, too furious to finish the sentence. The man accused sat slumped in his chair, shaking his head violently. Nah, this ain't right. I ain't do this. Y'all not about to put this on me? I got kids. I got a family. I ain't never touched her." But the denial sounded hollow. His words bounced off the walls and fell flat, drowned out by the disbelief radiating from every face around him. Jasmine stood tall, her body trembling but her voice sharp as a blade. "You a liar? Don't you sit here and act like you innocent? You and me both know the nights we shared. You can't erase those receipts. You can't erase the truth." She pulled her phone again, her fingers scrolling furiously, until she thrust the screen forward. "You see this? You texted me. You said keep it between us. You said Kirk can't find out. Don't play dumb now." Rashida let out a sound no one expected, a scream, loud and broken, echoing like glass shattering in the silence that followed Jasmine's words. "Every damn time. Every single time. I'm the one left in pieces. First it's Kirk, now this. My whole life is one big circus for y'all to laugh at." She stumbled backward, her heels clicking against the polished floor, her face streaked with tears, her hands shaking so hard she could barely keep them at her sides. Fans at home were flooding Twitter and Instagram like it was the apocalypse. "Now, not another man from the cast. #LHHATL. One tweet screamed. Another read, "Rashida deserves the world and she keeps getting hell. I'm crying with her." Hashtags spread like wildfire. #DNA mess. #Jasmine vindicated. #who is the father. The internet turned into a courtroom. Fans arguing over screenshots. Freeze-framing Jasmine's phone, dissecting every word from the consultant like forensic experts. Kirk struggled against security, his voice cracking. "You ruined me. All this time, I thought I was the worst man alive, carrying shame that wasn't mine. And now, you," he pointed at the man, his arm shaking. "You've been living easy, letting me drown, watching my marriage burn. You a coward. A damn coward." The man finally exploded, slamming his fists against the table, his voice booming. "Don't put this on me, Kirk. You've been cheating since the 90s. You think one test makes you clean? You dirty too? You ain't no better than me. You think Rashida, some angel. She knew you been stepping out. You both been living lies." His words stabbed the air, turning the set into a war zone of accusations. Rashida spun toward him, her voice deadly. "Don't you dare bring me into this. I've been fighting for my marriage while men like you sit around plotting how to tear it apart. You sick? You disgusting. You're worse than Kirk because at least Kirk was stupid enough to get caught. You, sneaky. And that makes you dangerous." Jasmine laughed bitterly, her voice dripping with venom. Finally, somebody else gets dragged. I've been carrying this mess alone for too long. Kirk wanted me to shut up. Rashida wanted me to disappear. And you?" She pointed at the man. "You wanted me to stay in the shadows while you pretended to be righteous. Well, I'm done hiding. If my life got a burn, then I'm taking all of y'all down with me." The producers shouted over the chaos, but no one listened. Security scrambled to hold Kirk back as he lunged again, his face red, spit flying as he screamed threats. Rashida's sobs turned into curses, her voice cracking as she shouted, I'm done. I'm done with all of you." She ripped off her mic pack, the wires dangling as it clattered to the ground. "I'm leaving this damn show. I'm leaving this damn marriage. I don't care if the camera's rolling. Y'all not about to break me anymore?" The crew gasped. Some cast members covered their mouths. Others whispered frantically, "Is she serious? She's really leaving." Social media went into meltdown. Fans posting Rashida quitting live on camera. "Nah, this episode about to break TV history. #LHHATL. Kirk froze at her words, his fury momentarily eclipsed by desperation. "Baby, no, don't do this. Don't walk away. I can fix this. We can fix this." His voice cracked, his bravado crumbling as he reached for her arm. But Rashida yanked it back, her glare cutting deeper than any slap could. "Fix it? How many times you said that, Kirk? How many times I believed you? I ain't got no pieces left for you to fix. I'm done being the fool." I'm done being the strong one. I'm done being the wife that forgives. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the moment. Kirk's face collapsed in defeat, his eyes brimming with tears he tried to hide. Jasmine, though, stood defiant, her chest heaving as if she had finally released years of pent-up torment. The accused man sat hunched, his face buried in his hands, his shoulders shaking, the picture of shame. And still, the consultant stood, holding papers that promised even more secrets. "This isn't the final word," he said softly, his voice almost drowned by the chaos. "Further testing will be needed, but the possibility of dual involvement, it cannot be ignored." The phrase dual involvement sent another shockwave through the set. Fans online screamed in disbelief, some typing in all caps. What does dual involvement even mean? #I. Bloggers rushed to post theories. YouTube reactors shouted into their cameras. Instagram pages exploded with memes. The set was no longer just a show. It was a battlefield, a courtroom, and a funeral all at once. Families torn apart, reputations shredded, tears flowing freely. The DNA test had promised answers, but all it delivered was more chaos, more division, more destruction. Rashida stormed toward the exit, her heels pounding against the floor, her sobs echoing in the stunned silence that followed her words. "I'm done," she said again, her voice softer now but resolute. "Final. Y'all can have the drama. Y'all can have the lies. I'm choosing me." The cameras followed her to the door, capturing the moment she walked out, leaving Kirk frozen in place, Jasmine trembling with vindication, and the accused man drowning in guilt. The producer's voice cracked through the intercom. "Cut to black." But it was too late. The story wasn't ending, it was only spiraling deeper. The DNA test hadn't just exposed one truth, it had detonated every lie, every secret, every betrayal hiding in the shadows. And now, with Rashida gone, the stage was set for the ugliest war this family and this show had ever seen. The slam of the studio door echoed like a gunshot. Rashida was gone, leaving only the sound of her heels still bouncing around the set. Like her spirit was haunting the place she had just abandoned. The silence she left behind was suffocating. Kirk stood frozen, his chest heaving, his eyes darting to the empty doorway as if she might suddenly walk back in. Jasmine, for once, didn't smirk. She stood there, trembling, realizing that Rashida's exit wasn't a victory, it was a wound so deep the whole show might bleed out from it. The accused man sat hunched forward, face buried in his palms, trying to shrink into invisibility while the cameras zoomed in mercilessly. Fans watching live clips online didn't miss a second. Within minutes, hashtags trended worldwide. #RASHEEDA quits. #KirkLostitl. #Jasmine vindicated. And #WHOS, the father. Twitter was a battlefield. "Rashida walking away is the strongest thing I ever seen on TV," one fan wrote. Another screamed in all caps, "Knew she can't leave us like this." #LHHATL. On Instagram, blogs reposted screenshots of her storming out. Captions, reading, "Queen Energy." While others speculated whether this was truly the end of her marriage or just another cliffhanger, the family was left divided. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran higher than ever. Kirk finally snapped out of his daze, storming toward Jasmine, his voice cracking with fury. "You happy now? You destroyed everything. You broke up my family. You ruined my name. And now Rashida gone because of you." He jabbed a finger at her chest, his entire body trembling. Jasmine flinched but held her ground. "Don't put this all on me, Kirk. You made your choices. You wanted me. You kept coming back. You wanted it both ways. And now you paying the price." Her voice was sharp, but her eyes glistened with tears she fought to hold back. The accused man finally raised his head, his face pale, his voice cracking with desperation. "This ain't just on me either. Y'all want to make me the villain now. But Kirk, you've been lying for years. You built a whole career on pretending to be faithful while sneaking around. You ain't no better. You just mad somebody else got caught in your mess." Kirk lunged at him, his fists clenched, his veins bulging in his neck. But security slammed into him before he could make contact. "Coward," Kirk roared, spit flying. "You slept with her behind my back and thought I wouldn't find out. You sat at my table. You called me brother. You ain't nothing but trash." Jasmine broke down again, her voice rising above the chaos. "Stop it, both of you. Stop acting like I forced you into this. I'm the one who carried the shame, the one who raised this child while y'all two played games with my life. You think this is easy? You think I wanted this? I was drowning while you both lived free." Her sobs filled the air, and for the first time, even some cast members who despised her shifted uncomfortably. seeing her not just as the villain but as a woman crushed under the weight of choices too heavy to carry. Off to the side, Carly Red whispered loudly enough for the cameras to catch. "This is the kind of mess that ruins careers, y'all. Like, ain't no coming back from this." Yandi shook her head, whispering, "This ain't TV no more. This real life imploding." The rest of the cast stood frozen, trapped between horror and fascination, knowing the fallout would engulf them all. Online, fan theories exploded. What if Jasmine planned all this just to destroy Kirk and Rashida? One thread speculated. Another countered, "Nah, she finally exposed the men who've been hiding the truth. Good for her." YouTube live reactors screamed into their cameras, their faces lit by ring lights, their voices hoarse from shouting. "This is the biggest scandal in reality TV history." Kirk collapsed into a chair, his face buried in his hands, his body shaking as tears finally broke free. "She gone," he muttered, his voice hollow. "She really gone. I lost her." Jasmine's lips trembled, but she said nothing. The accused man stood abruptly, knocking over his chair, his voice desperate. "I ain't sticking around to be crucified. Y'all can say what you want, but I'm not the father. And I'll take a test in front of the whole damn world to prove it." He stormed off, the cameras following him until he disappeared backstage, his words leaving behind a storm of questions. The consultant stepped forward again, his voice strained. "As I said earlier, additional testing is required. At this point, nothing is definitive." But his calm tone only fueled the fire. Jasmine snapped, "Don't you dare water this down. Y'all saw the markers. Y'all saw the match. Stop protecting him." Kirk barked back, "Stop lying. You'll throw anybody under the bus just to save yourself." The producers finally cut the feed, but it was too late. Clips were already everywhere. Fans dissected every frame, slowing down footage, enhancing screenshots, circling faces. One viral tweet read, "The way he shifted when his name got mentioned. Guilty. #LHHATL. Another screamed, "Rashida walking out is the moment of the decade." In her car outside the studio, Rashida sat alone, her face streaked with tears, her hands shaking as she gripped the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed, non-stop texts from family, from fans, from producers begging her to come back. But she ignored them all. Staring at her reflection in the rearview mirror, she whispered to herself, "I deserve better." It was the first time she'd said it out loud, and the weight of those words made her chest ache. Back inside, Kirk tried calling her, his voice desperate on voicemail after voicemail. "Baby, please, don't do this. I love you, I'll fix it. Please come back." Jasmine watched him, her face unreadable, a storm of emotions swirling behind her eyes. For the first time, she realized she hadn't won anything. She hadn't gained Kirk. She hadn't destroyed Rashida. She had only set fire to herself. And now they were all burning together. And still, the biggest question loomed, unanswered and explosive. Who was the real father of Jasmine's child? The second DNA test had opened a door that no one could close, and now the entire world was waiting for the next bombshell. The night after the meltdown felt longer than any day in their lives. Atlanta buzzed like it had swallowed electricity. Every diner and barbershop and studio corner humming with whispers about the DNA scandal. Kirk didn't go home. He sat slumped in a rented black SUV parked outside Rashida's mother's house, chain-smoking until his fingers smelled of ash, calling her phone again and again. The screen showed nothing but message not delivered. Every voicemail was the same broken plea. "Baby, just talk to me. Just talk to me one more time." Inside the house, Rashida ignored every ring. Her mother pressed a mug of tea into her hands. But Rashida only stared at the steam curling upward, like her whole life was drifting away. "You strong, baby," her mother whispered. "But strong don't mean you gotta stay in pain. Sometimes strength is walking away." Rashida nodded, tears falling silently. Fans online were already posting screenshots of her wiping her eyes in the studio. Captions reading, "Queen Energy. Protect Rashida at all costs. #Rashida." While she hid in the quiet, Jasmine was doing the opposite. Her phone didn't stop buzzing with calls from gossip bloggers, morning radio, and talk shows offering her fat checks for the first exclusive interview. By dawn she went live on Instagram, eyes still swollen, voice trembling but deliberate. "I told you all the truth," she said into the camera, her hands shaking as thousands poured into the live. "They dragged me for years. They called me a liar, a homewrecker, everything. But the DNA don't lie. Now everybody wanna act brand new. Nah, y'all gonna respect me." The comments exploded, some dropping heart emojis and typing, "Stay strong, Jasmine." Others spitting venom. "You ruined a family, and you proud." And then there was the accused man. His phone blew up with hate messages, fans tagging his wife, his kids, his business partners. Homer, snake, trash. Outside his house, paparazzi parked their cars. Cameras ready to capture the fall of a man who had once built his brand on loyalty and family values. He tried to keep his head down, releasing a cold statement through his lawyer. All allegations are false. I will cooperate fully with testing and will pursue legal remedies against defamatory claims. But the internet wasn't buying it. Fans clipped old interviews where he praised family, adding sarcastic captions. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, on set, producers scrambled to figure out how to spin the disaster into ratings gold. This is bigger than a season finale, one muttered, pacing with a headset. This is cultural history. We need cameras on Kirk at the hospital, cameras on Jasmine at her live, cameras wherever Rashida goes. Another producer shook her head, whispering, but she said she's done. If she quits, this whole show falls apart. Executives sent flowers, apologies, offers of spin-offs, anything to get Rashida back in front of a lens. Kirk, meanwhile, spiraled harder. He showed up outside Rashida's boutique the next day, waiting for her in the parking lot. When she arrived with 2 bodyguards, he dropped to his knees in front of the cameras already circling like vultures. Baby, I'm begging you, he cried, his hands clasped, tears streaming. Don't leave me. Don't let them win. The footage hit TMZ before she even made it inside. Fans split instantly. Some pitied him, calling it the most vulnerable they'd ever seen. Kirk. Others mocked him mercilessly. After 20 years of cheating, now he crying like a baby. #boy by Rashida didn't speak to him. Not once. She kept her eyes straight ahead, walking into the boutique with her chin high, her silence louder than his pleas. Later that night she posted a single story. A black screen with the words, healing, not performing. Millions reposted it. Jasmine, watching from her condo, laughed bitterly. He begging for sympathy while I'm the one raising his child. But even she felt the shift. The more she leaned into vindication, the more people turned on her, calling her cold, manipulative, smug. See? This is why nobody trusts Jasmine. One tweet read, even when she's right, she makes it ugly. The accused man's world collapsed fastest. His wife unfollowed him publicly. Fans noticed his wedding ring missing in candid shots, and sponsors began pulling deals. In a desperate move, he went live, his voice trembling. I swear on my kids' lives, this is not true. I made mistakes. I ain't perfect, but that child ain't mine. I'll take 10 tests if I have to. But his eyes darted off camera too often. His voice cracked too sharply. Fans weren't convinced. Liar, they typed in the comments. Look how nervous he is. Guilt written all over his face. Behind the scenes, lawyers prepared for a third DNA test, the tiebreaker that would finally put the matter to rest. Kirk insisted on cameras present. Jasmine demanded her lawyer in the room. Rashida refused to attend at all. I'm not watching men argue over paternity like it's a game show, she told her friends. My peace don't live in an envelope. But deep down, she couldn't shake the fear that no matter what the results said, she'd never escape this scandal. The city buzzed louder with every passing hour. Barbershops argued over who the real father was. Hair salons played the footage on repeat. And churches whispered prayers for the families involved. YouTube lives racked up millions of views as fans debated theories like crime scene analysts. Listen to the consultant's words again, one vlogger said, replaying the clip. Dual involvement. What if this ain't just about paternity, it's about betrayal so deep we don't even know the half yet? When the third test results finally came back, another envelope landed in the producers' hands. Cameras clicked on. Kirk sat shaking. Jasmine clutched her phone. Rashida stayed home. The accused man sat stone-faced, his lawyer at his side. The producer's voice cracked as he read the words. And the room braced for another explosion. The producer's hands shook as he tore the seal on the third envelope. Everyone in the room leaned forward, hearts pounding like war drums. Kirk was sweating through his shirt. Jasmine gripped her phone so tight her knuckles turned white. And the accused man sat stiff with his lawyer whispering furiously in his ear. Cameras zoomed in so close you could see every bead of sweat, every twitch of muscle, every tear fighting to fall. The probability of paternity. The producer's voice wavered, his throat dry, is 99.9%, confirming Kirk Frost as the biological father. The words dropped like a bomb. Kirk slammed back in his chair, both hands over his face, sobbing in anger and exhaustion. Jasmine screamed out, half victory, half hysteria, I told you from day one. All these years, y'all made me look like a liar, and now what? The truth is out. She collapsed into tears, shaking, her chest heaving with the release of years of tension. The accused man shot to his feet, shouting, "See, I told y'all I had nothing to do with this," dragging my name through the mud for ratings. His lawyer pulled him back down, but the damage was already done. Fans online lit up, half apologizing for doubting him, half saying his nervous breakdown made him look guilty regardless. "Nah, too late, bro. We still side-eyeing you," one viral tweet read. But the real devastation was in the silence of Rashida's absence. She wasn't there to hear the words. She wasn't there to see Kirk cry, or Jasmine collapse, or the accused man clear his name. She was at home, curled up in bed, her phone buzzing nonstop with updates. Her best friend slid the phone across the nightstand, whispering, "It's Kirk's." They confirmed it. Rashida didn't react. She just stared at the wall, her face expressionless. "I already knew," she whispered finally. "Didn't need a paper to tell me." Back at the studio, Kirk finally spoke. His voice ragged, his eyes swollen from crying. "I've been carrying shame for years, thinking I was the worst man alive. And yeah, I made mistakes. I ain't no angel. But this," he pointed at Jasmine, his voice trembling with rage. "This woman let me drown in guilt for years. She let my wife suffer. She let my kids suffer. And now, after all this, she wanna celebrate. You destroyed us, Jasmine. And no DNA test will change that." Jasmine snapped back, her voice sharp despite the tears. "Don't put this all on me. You wanted me to. You came back to me again and again. You told me I meant something. You played both sides. You broke your wife long before I ever came along. Don't you dare sit there and act like the victim." Security moved closer as Kirk lurched forward, his fists shaking, his eyes bloodshot. "You don't deserve to be in the same room as my family," he growled. Jasmine fired back. "Then why was I in your bed, Kirk? Why was I the one raising your child while you played house with Rashida?" The room exploded again, screams, shouts, cast members trying to calm the storm. On social media, fans were losing their minds. So it's Kirk's baby after all. But Rashida still walked out. #LHHATL. Another wrote, "Jasmine got the DNA but lost the war. Rashida don't want Kirk no more." Blogs posted headlines like "Final DNA test confirms Kirk Frost is the father but Rashida says she's done" and "Love and Hip-Hop's biggest betrayal ends in tears." The accused man slipped quietly out of the studio, but paparazzi were waiting. Flashes lit up the night as he barked, "I told y'all it wasn't me." Fans heckled him from the sidewalk, some shouting apologies, others booing. The scandal had stained him whether he was guilty or not. Kirk left the set looking broken, his head down, his steps heavy. Jasmine tried to follow him, shouting, "You can't run from me, Kirk. You can't run from your son." But security blocked her path. Cameras caught every second, and by morning, the footage was everywhere: Kirk stumbling into a car, Jasmine screaming his name, and Rashida nowhere to be found. At her boutique the next day, Rashida finally broke her silence. Standing before a crowd of fans and reporters, she spoke calmly but firmly. "I know y'all been watching. I know y'all been waiting to see what I'll do. And I'm here to say this. I choose me. I choose peace. Kirk may be the father, Jasmine may feel vindicated, but I will not live my life chained to pain anymore. I'm done." The crowd erupted in cheers, fans chanting her name, calling her a queen. Her words spread online like wildfire, with one headline reading, "Rashida Frost chooses herself after DNA scandal leaves Kirk behind." Kirk watched the clip on his phone, tears streaming silently down his face. Jasmine, meanwhile, celebrated online, posting, "The truth always comes out. They dragged me, but I won." But the comments told another story. Fans flooded her page with messages like, "Girl, you didn't win. You lost respect. And Rashida, the real queen, not you." The scandal had given answers, but it left deeper scars. Kirk was the father, yes, but Rashida was gone. Jasmine was hated more than ever, and the accused man's reputation was ruined beyond repair. The DNA test had promised clarity, but all it delivered was heartbreak, betrayal, and the end of a family the world had once believed in. The morning after the third DNA test shattered the last illusion, Atlanta felt like it had been hit with an earthquake. The city didn't sleep. From late-night diners to early morning radio shows, everyone was talking about Kirk, Rashida, and Jasmine. Even people who didn't watch Love and Hip Hop were now caught up in the whirlwind, because the scandal had spilled over into real-life news outlets. Gossip, blogs, podcasts, and even daytime talk shows were dissecting every tear, every word, every betrayal. And in the middle of it all, the family at the center of the storm could barely breathe. Rashida woke up in her mother's house, her phone buzzing nonstop on the nightstand. Texts from friends, business partners, even fans filled the screen. Some messages begged her to stay strong, Others warned her that Kirk was outside again, pacing the sidewalk like a man possessed. She pulled the curtains just enough to see him, his hood pulled low, his hands buried in his pockets, his body hunched in defeat. He had been there since the night before, chain-smoking, refusing to leave even when her brother told him to get off the property. His car sat parked crooked at the curb, doors unlocked, windows fogged from hours of him sitting inside crying. Rashida pressed her palms against her eyes, whispering, "God, I'm so tired." Her mother's voice came softly from the kitchen. "Baby, you don't owe that man nothing, no more. You done your time. Let him sit out there in the cold until he learns what it feel like." But deep down, Rashida knew Kirk wasn't learning. He was clinging, desperate, broken, but not changed. Meanwhile, Jasmine was playing a different game. She had gone live on Instagram again, her eyes puffy but her energy fiery. "They all laughed at me, called me a liar, a homewrecker, everything," she said into the camera as tens of thousands tuned in. "But the tests don't lie. Kirk is the father, period. So y'all can stop dragging me and start dragging the ones who refused to listen." She waved a stack of papers at the camera, the DNA results she had gotten her lawyer to print for her. "Receipts, real receipts. So put some respect on my name." The comments section lit up with fire. Half her viewers were cheering, spamming heart emojis, writing, "We believe you now, Jasmine." But the other half tore her apart. "Girl, you ruined a whole family and you proud." One wrote, "Nobody respecting you, sis, just accept it." Another typed, memes flooded Twitter, screenshots of her waving the papers with captions like "When you win the battle but lose the war." The narrative was turning against her fast. She had the DNA but she didn't have the people. The accused man who had been dragged into the mess was living his own nightmare. His phone was filled with death threats. His wife had packed her bags, and sponsors quietly pulled his name off deals. His lawyer scrambled to fix the damage, but the internet had already decided. Videos of him looking nervous in the studio replayed on loop, captions reading guilty vibes. Even though the third test cleared him, the stain wouldn't wash away. He called a press conference outside his home, cameras flashing as he stood with his lawyer. "I have been falsely accused," he declared, his voice shaking. "I will be pursuing every legal remedy against defamation. I am a family man. I am not involved." But his eyes darted too much, his voice cracked too often, and the public didn't buy it. One fan posted the clip with the caption, "When you guilty but the court says nah," and it went viral overnight. Kirk's spiral deepened by the hour. He spent his days outside Rashida's boutique, standing in the parking lot with flowers, begging to see her. Fans filmed him kneeling in the rain, crying, "Rashida, I'll do anything. Don't leave me. I love you." The footage spread across every gossip blog, headlines screaming "Kirk Frost begs Rashida in parking lot breakdown." Some fans pitied him, calling it in parking lot breakdown. Some fans pitied him, calling it his lowest moment. Others mocked him brutally, posting memes of him crying with captions like "Now you know how Rashida felt." Rashida stayed silent, and that silence was deafening. When she finally posted a statement, it broke the internet. A single black screen with white text, "Healing, not performing." Within minutes, it had millions of views, reposts from celebrities, and fans flooding her comments with love. "Queen energy. Stand strong. We got you, Rashida," they wrote. The message was clear. She wasn't coming back. Not to Kirk, not to the chaos, not to the cameras. But Kirk couldn't accept it. He begged producers for another sit-down with Rashida, promising to make amends, live on camera. "Let me show her I can change," he pleaded. Producers smelled ratings gold and pushed hard to make it happen. But Rashida refused every call. "I'm not his storyline no more," she told them. "My life ain't a circus." Jasmine, however, seized the opportunity. She agreed to a solo interview on a primetime talk show, arriving in a bright red dress, hairstyled to perfection. She sat down in front of millions of viewers, dabbing her eyes with tissue, her voice trembling. "I didn't ask for this life," she said. "I didn't ask to be the villain. I fell in love. I had a baby. I wanted honesty. And instead, I got years of lies and humiliation." She paused dramatically, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I just wanted my son to know who his father was. Is that so wrong?" The clip went viral, but it didn't land the way she hoped. Fans called her performance fake. Her tears, crocodile tears. "Girl, you knew what you were doing." One viral comment read, "Don't play victim now." Others sympathized, but the overwhelming tone was brutal. Jasmine had the truth, but no respect. The accused man disappeared from the spotlight entirely, his lawyer announcing he was taking time for his family. But paparazzi caught him days later at a hotel with bags in his hand, his wife nowhere in sight. The photos exploded online. "Family man my ass," fans typed, dragging him even harder. The fallout was destroying everyone in its path. Kirk lost brand deals. Jasmine lost credibility. The accused man lost everything. And Rashida, though her reputation soared, was left to rebuild her life from ashes. She poured herself into her boutique, showing up every day with a smile for customers, even while her eyes betrayed the exhaustion behind it. Fans flocked to support her, buying out inventory, calling it a solidarity sale. In interviews, she kept her words short and sharp. "I'm focusing on me, nothing else." Kirk tried one last grand gesture. He rented out a stage, decorated it with roses, and went live on Instagram, dropping to his knees with a microphone in hand. "Rashida," he cried, "I know you see this. I know you hear me. I love you. I'll spend the rest of my life making this right. Please, baby, come home." Millions tuned in, but Rashida didn't respond. Instead, she posted a picture of herself smiling with her girlfriends at dinner, captioned, "Free feels good." Fans flooded the comments with fire emojis, crowning her the queen of the moment. The scandal had promised answers, and it delivered. Kirk was the father. Jasmine wasn't lying. The accused man was cleared. But the truth came at a cost so heavy that none of them would ever recover. Kirk lost his wife. Jasmine lost her respect. The accused man lost his family. And Rashida, though broken, rose higher than them all. Her silence and strength making her the only winner in a war no one asked for. And yet, even as the dust began to settle, whispers remained. Fans speculated whether Jasmine had more secrets, whether Kirk could ever truly change, whether Rashida would one day forgive. The family was left divided. Emotions still ran high, and the world watched, waiting for the next twist in a saga that had already become the most unforgettable scandal reality TV had ever seen. So, after all the shouting, the tears, the DNA tests, and the endless finger-pointing, what are we really left with? A family torn apart, a marriage hanging by a thread, and a child caught in the middle of it all. Kirk Frost is confirmed to be the father, but does that make him a winner? No, because the truth doesn't erase the damage. Rashida walked away, leaving Kirk broken and desperate, and for once, it feels like she might actually mean it this time. Jasmine got the DNA victory she begged for, but the respect she lost in the process may never come back. The accused man escaped with a test result that cleared him, but the stain of suspicion will follow him for the rest of his life. And the fans. Oh, the fans are more divided than ever. Half the world is screaming justice for Jasmine, while the other half is chanting Queen Rashida. People are unfollowing, blocking, unfriending each other in real life because of this scandal. The streets of Atlanta are buzzing, the blogs are feasting, and social media is on fire. This isn't just a storyline anymore, it's history in the making. But here's the real question, and it's the one that should have you leaning closer to your screen right now. What happens next? Does Rashida ever forgive Kirk? Or does she finally move on to a life without the chaos that's defined her for years? Does Kirk keep chasing her, crying in parking lots, embarrassing himself on live streams, hoping she'll give him just one more chance? And what about Jasmine? Does she manage to turn the sympathy of some fans into power? Or does she fade away under the weight of being labeled the woman who broke a family apart? And the biggest twist of them all, what happens when that child grows up and sees all of this? When he watches the clips, reads the headlines, scrolls through the memes that made his life a public spectacle. This isn't just drama. This is legacy. And legacies don't fade easy. You have to admit, no matter which side you're on. This DNA scandal has been the most shocking, the most explosive, the most unforgettable saga we've ever seen on Love and Hip Hop. No script could write it better. No movie could capture it louder. This is real life, raw and messy, unfolding in front of millions of eyes who can't look away. But now I want to hear from you. Yes, you watching this video right now. Who do you believe came out on top in all this chaos? Was it Jasmine, finally proving to the world that she wasn't lying about her child's father? Was it Rashida, who showed strength by walking away, refusing to be humiliated again? Or was it Kirk, even though he lost his wife, gaining at least one truth that he'll carry forever? Or maybe nobody won at all. Maybe everyone lost. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Don't hold back, tell me whose side you're on. Team Rashida, Team Jasmine, or Team Burn It All Down. Let me know exactly where you stand, because this story isn't over, and your voice matters. And listen, if you made it this far, you know this is the kind of drama we break down every single day. So don't just watch and scroll past, hit that like button right now so more people can join the conversation. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the next chapter in this saga could drop at any second. And you don't want to be the last to know. And while you're at it, share this video with your friends, your family, your group chat, even that ex who loves messy reality TV. Because this scandal isn't just for fans of the show, it's for anyone who's ever lived through lies, betrayal, and heartbreak. Let's make this conversation bigger than Atlanta. Don't forget we're watching history play out in real time. Rashida's silence, Kirk's desperation, Jasmine's fight for credibility, and the accused man's fall from grace. Every piece of it is a reminder that truth might set you free, but it'll burn everything in its path first. So buckle up, because this ride isn't slowing down. There are still court cases to be filed, interviews to be aired, and maybe, just maybe, reconciliations to be made. Or maybe more bombs will drop. Because if we've learned anything, it's that secrets never stay buried for long. Before you go, answer me this in the comments. If you were Rashida, would you ever forgive Kirk? If you were Jasmine, would you keep fighting for respect? And if you were the accused man, would you walk away quietly or fight tooth and nail to clear your name? I want to know your answers. I want to see how divided the world really is over this scandal. So like, comment, subscribe, and most of all, stay tuned, because the fallout from this DNA test isn't just shaking love and hip-hop, it's shaking reality TV forever. And the next twist, oh, it's already coming. You won't believe what happens next. It's already coming. You won't believe what happens next.